Hello, this is the Gentleman Scholar, and my kitty's mad that I'm waking him up, so he's turning around and glaring at me. That's okay. Um, I'm here with another book report. It's Thanksgiving Day. Just before I head out to my sister's place, I have to make some popcorn so we can watch a movie. I'm introducing her to the Western classic Lonesome Dove. Um, I just dropped all the names of the people that were in it, so that intrigued her enough to see it. But I told her you have to concentrate on the interactions of the characters and their relationships. But I digress. Anyway, the book report I'm doing today is Director's Cut by Keith McCabe. Um, I I think I bought this on Amazon as a Kindle book, ebook. Once upon a time, I think it was interesting. It was probably like one of those 99-cent deals, and it just came across me. I wanted something to read that was I don't know, somewhat more escapist, and and the premise sounded interesting. Basically, a film researcher, discovers this film inside in the closet of an insane asylum from the very reclusive Maynard Burke, who has a as it says, but what they do is a shady history of gonzo filmmaking at the expense of other people's lives. He basically makes these films that are highly violent, and they may or may not be snuff films. Snuff films are films in which underground films in which people are actually getting killed on film and they get circulated around. I've heard about these since the 70s. Whether they're real or not, I don't know. And that lies at the heart of this book. Um, Maynard Burke's his arty underground reputation rests on the fact that people aren't sure if these films are they're witnessing real murders or not. And of course, all the tastemakers and movie reviewers are like, "Oh, he's such a great auteur. Oh, he's wonderful. He basically uses his art to punch into the human conscience, all that pretentious twaddle that let's face it, a lot of tastemakers like to spout out. Doesn't matter about what either. It could be movies, it could be television, it could be wine, books, what have you. Anyway, the plot opens up where Amanda, a former actress and now a notable film editor, she finds this film inside of an asylum, and of course she gets tasked with bringing it out there, and the hospital just wants to get rid of it. They don't want it, so now they have to authenticate it. Is it in fact a Maynard Burke film? And meanwhile, what's his name? Lewis Burke. He works for a in New York City. He's a hotshot. He's a hotshot, spunky kid editor. He works for a very thinly disguised version of Criterion. Criterion is an imprint that they release movies that of cultural impact. You could say they're maybe a little bit snobby, but then again they gave you the original Godzilla flick, so who's to say? But yeah, their purview is basically films of cultural impact that made a difference in the industry and made a difference in people's lives and the culture in general. So Lewis basically is working for him. He's just finished sewing up the distribution deals on this other thing, and he comes back and he gets tasked with, hey, someone just found the latest Maynard Burke film. So Amanda, the one who discovered Amanda, the actress, goes to drop it off, and all of a sudden weird things start to happen. Now, as I'm reading the book, I thought there was going to be a supernatural element to it, but it turns out that it's not. It's basically just a mystery, but it has some very cool salient points to make about violence and why we make art out of it, why we're so fascinated with it, and yeah, it just makes you wonder because let's face it, the film industry, let's face it, its bread and butter are action movies with lots of explosions and horror movies they're more visceral, they're more stomach turning than actually entertaining. It depends. I mean, there's different levels of craftsmanship for everything in this life, and that includes when you're building a house, when you're writing a book, and when you're making movies. But the whole thing about movies is that movies reflect life, or they project a person's view of life, how they interpret the reality around them. So meanwhile, Lewis gets involved in this mystery. He gets involved with the subject of this film that's going to be turned into a movie, perhaps get funneled into a box set, and he finds out that yeah, Maynard Burke is kind of a sick, twisted sob. Um, and there's like secret filmings all over the place. And the more he digs, the more trouble he gets into. He has this weird guy that looks like Rasputin following him, um, and basically everything culminates in this underground abandoned building viewing of I forget what the latest movie was supposed to be called, but doesn't matter really. But all these tastemakers and super rich people are there, and the super rich basically get to take people out of the audience and have their way with them up in the VIP section. And of course, our two heroes, Lewis and Amanda, end up there, and they screw everything up. And yeah, I really got into it. I mean, it took a while to get set up, because I wasn't sure what I was reading. But yeah, as we went along, as we went closer to that plot waterfall, as the climax rounded, I was really, really fascinated. And thing is, there's this our characters meet this what I call him the projectionist. Amanda meets him first at a viewing of a Maynard Burke film, and there's this guy up there with a top hat and everything, with a fedora, and he's like setting up he's setting up all the projector and everything like that. And he seems very, very, very smart, very cagey. And I think that might have been Maynard Burke himself, but they never say. And the author made it a point to say that I never really want to show you the actual director who made this stuff. I'll keep that up in the air, which is cool because I suspect it was him, like setting up these secret viewings himself. And of course, Lewis gets to meet him towards the end in the climax, and you know, the projectionist says stuff like, the storytellers are the real rulers of the world. Everyone else takes their cues from the stories that they see on television and in movies. We basically bang the drum and they dance to it, type thing, which I thought was an interesting take. The thing I really did appreciate about this book is, um, even if you could tell it was written by someone who knows the business and who's researched the business. Um, and the best thing I love about it is they don't get too pretentious with the titles that they're throwing around. It's a mixture of fictional films and real films. And I think the most esoteric they get is when they mention Igmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal, which basically involves well, I can't remember his name. He was in The Exorcist. He played Father Merrin, and why can't I remember his name? Anyway, he plays a soldier coming back from the Crusades, and death is waiting for him on the beach. And it's like, I've come for you. And the soldier goes, whoa, 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 I'm not ready to go yet. I have answers. I've got questions I need answered about life, the universe, and everything. So he agrees to play him a game of chess as he goes about the countryside looking for the answers to the meaning of life, etc., so on. And it's out of, when it comes to artistic movies, when it comes to art house film, that's probably a good entry gateway drug to them, I would say. But anyone, what I'm saying is, in this book, if you have a working knowledge of movies in general, you're not going to feel left out, because it's not like Quentin Tarantino directing a movie where he wants to show off every single obscure cult movie he's ever watched and folded it into this thing that he's showing you. They basically present titles you've like heard of, and they mention stuff like that, and that makes it a lot more accessible, I think, which is cool because let's face it, whether you're a hardcore cinephile or you're a casual movie, everyone's gone to the movies or rented out a movie at one time or another and brought it home to watch. They're not looking for symbolism, they're looking for entertainment, and a lot of us fall in that overlap in between where we're looking for both. I'm a film buff, but I'm not like a psycho crazy film buff, with millions of films on my wall. I can't I guess it's like a jack of all trades with movies. I know producers, I know directors, that kind of thing, but I'm not like super, super granular with the knowledge. I just know what stories I like and what stories I don't. That's all. And that's how I discover them. If I have a favorite director off the top of my head, I would probably have to go with John Carpenter. The dude who gave us Halloween, the Thing remake, that kind of thing. Um, a director has a certain touch to his movies, a certain way of staging the action, handling his actors, and that's what I dig. I mean, he's the first one that comes off the top of my head. I kind of wish they'd do a box set. Someone would, of John Carpenter, because that would be a big one indeed. But anyway, very good book. I would highly recommend it if you're looking for a suspenseful read, but without where you don't have to like basically struggle with it. It's not trying to make any grand points except the our fascination with celluloid violence aside. Um, I would recommend it if you just want something different. Um, then there are some very disturbed people, just basically shown off in this novel. So, but again, it moves along pretty quickly. It ends pretty well. It's a fairly enough happy ending for all of our protagonists. So yeah, director's cut. Keith McCabe. Check it out. You won't be sorry. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and we'll talk to you later.